Hey viewers, welcome to a review of last week's battle between the Sons of Medusa and a whole heap of Chaos filth. At this stage I've cleared the board and made the space available to start the battle. I haven't started it yet. So a few weeks ago I would have done a preview with everything on the board, and now I've basically cleared it off and put all our units up the side here. Mixture of all the Chaos units, and there's some Sons of Medusa and some Imperial Knights up the back. Up this side we've got all our Sons of Medusa ready to go, camera gear all ready to take some pictures. These are some narrative characters that are going to come spewing out of the hut. More drop pod stuff up the top here, all in reserve. So there you go. So this is our board that we're going to be using. We're going to start off with this side. We're going to have the Sons of Medusa come through this side. We're going to have all these goblin type characters. These guys here come spewing out of the hut. We've got a Necron guy, which is there. He's searching for his relic, and he ends up killing a whole heap of those guys, and then the Chaos swamp creatures come out of the swamp over here, and we're going to start on both this side and over there with the Sons of Medusa over that side. So we've got a lot of drop pods and deep striking units, so there's going to be skirmishes all over the board. I haven't quite worked out the exact narrative of this storyline at this stage, but that is the board we're going to use. So next stage will be deployment. Hey viewers, welcome to the starter of Battle 16, and we have just completed the deployment stage. Just a quick note on the narrative, which I just mentioned before. We had a Necron move across the bridge here. Bridge area is on a slight angle, but that's okay. Came across the bridge, looked in this hut for its relic, and couldn't find it. Saw a bunch of these guys, little savages, hard to get it focused on. Those guys, they came out of here. He slayed one, and then a whole bunch came out, and he basically ran down through this way, and all those guys, or these guys here, basically ran out through this area here. As soon as that happened, we had our heroes come through for the Sons of Medusa. Came across this bridge again, saw the dead body and thought, oh, what's going on in here? This is obviously a sort of an older Age of Sigmar type fantasy battle time frame type character, or monster I should say. It's just a bit unusual because they're used to seeing, they're in the future, so they don't see these old types of monsters. You know what I mean. Anyway, so they come across this monster here, and then out of all the slimy murk come all the rest of the Nurgle creatures, which these guys thought that the world of Periculo was pretty safe and secure, and then all these monsters basically coming out. I'm trying to flesh out the story that I haven't even written yet, so anyway, you would have seen it last week. So out come these Nurgle creatures. We've got plague bearers, things like that. We've got obviously creatures from Age of Sigmar that are coming out. We've got interspersed, we've got dreadnaughts, things like that, all coming out of here. So this is where the demonic world of Periculo is bursting through, and out come Chaos. And it's really surprising our Space Marines, because they thought that was pretty safe. Anyway, looking over this side of the board, we've got some Chaos spawn, things like that at the front, and we're equating these big creatures to Imperial Knights, because we've got a few over here, 5 over here, so they'll go toe to toe at some stage. We've got a couple of units of Space Marines, Chaos Space Marines there, and just a few Dreadnaughts and Greater Demons, etc. So that's on that side. Over here we've got obviously the 5 Imperial Knights, A couple of units of Space Marines, one there, and some Centurions just here. Got our HQ unit just there with a bit of support next to him. Thunderfire cannon with another couple of units of Space Marines, a couple of Dreadnaughts over here, and we've got our Librarian and Apothecary sitting up here, which will meld with some other group as the battle commences. Over on our Chaos side we had some character units here emerged from the swamp. They're starting out a little bit out of the deployment zones, part of the storyline, coming out of the swamp. They will just no doubt charge into battle, no doubt confront all those guys and get vaporised. Anyway, we'll see how that goes. Over here in reserves, we've got some drop pods. 1, 2, 3, packed full of Marines. We've got another 2 down here, which are packed ready to go. So they'll just scatter across the board and create some problems. We've also got some aircraft for the Sons of Medusa over here. 3 there, they'll come out, guns are blazing. Then we've got some deep strikers for the Chaos side. So we've got Soul Grinders, a couple of different types, some Furies just sitting there. We've got this Terragast, I think it's called, which they will come out like a graded demon. I think I mentioned that before. So they're going to be deep striking units. Helldrake over here, whole bunch of Chaos Terminators with Typhus as well leading the charge. They'll come out causing major problems. And over here we've got a bunch of Plague Bearers riding flies ready to come out and just cause some mayhem. So we're working on a 6x6 board here. It's going to be quite a lot of different types of skirmishes going on this battle. It's a large one of the larger ones I've done, so hopefully it's a lot of fun. We've got turn 1 coming up shortly. Here we are at the end of turn 1, the first half of turn 1, with the Sons of Medusa getting a run first. So just moving across the board here, they've taken this position behind this elevated platform here with the huts that's overlooking the battlefield just here. They really haven't had a chance to take secure positions. We had our Librarian and Apothecary who are up here in an advanced position pretty much, came down this path here and just took a position near this stream of slime coming there. The HQ unit there basically came underneath this bridge here, just through there. Again, too far away because we are working on a 6x6 board for this one, so it's going to take a little bit to get to each other. These units here, this one here, tactical squad, basically came up this little ramp here, took a position behind the hut. We had Dreadnought here. These guys have got missile launchers. This one managed to be in range, tried to take out a unit on the other side, but it didn't. It was actually hidden behind this little wall there, so it didn't take any damage. Another Dreadnought came up with that squad there and just took a position ready to get a go next time. We had the Thunderfire cannon again come up this little ramp here, just trying to take a position. Might look to try and get up to here, this little rocky cliff here, and just sit up there and then zap people as they come on from the other side of the board. Over this side, Centurions really just got in the way there. They were sitting back here. They managed to follow up the Imperial Knights who were leading the charge. One got a shot off, this one here, and taking out one Chaos Spawn on the other side. The guy sitting at the front, if you can see that, long distance. Another squad here of Marines basically just came up behind the Imperial Knights, really trying to get a close-up position. and start to vaporise the enemy as they advance. So that's what we've got. We've only got one casualty for the Chaos side out of the first turn. We'll see what Chaos can do in return. Second half of turn 1 coming up shortly. Here we are at the end of the second half of turn 1. Not a lot happening really at this stage. There is the Chaos forces moving across the board. We had our elite crew of various assorted Chaos champions were sitting over there. They basically came across this elevated position near this waterfall here, trying to get into melee combat with some of this stuff rather than that stuff. Over this side we've got plague bearers, etc. marching across the board. They're going to take a while to get across that expanse here. We had a Dreadnought there for a las cannon. This one over here, nothing really happened there. No damage as such. Over this side, this Imperial Knight's looking a bit sick now after being fired upon by the battle cannon from the Defiler. Tank, las cannon fire, more las cannon fire. Those three there firing onto this one here. We had firing from the proxy Nurgle Imperial Knight here, firing across here, and they're just going to go toe to toe shooting each other for a bit. So that's really all there is at this stage. A lot of these open spaces are going to get filled up in a minute because we've got lots of drop pods, etc. Lots of aircraft, deep striking units, lots more fun to jump onto the board. So there we go, that is the end of turn 1. It's about to get busy. Here we are at the end of the first half of turn 2, and we've seen a fair bit of deep striking going on by the Sons of Medusa. Let's start with that sort of stuff. We had some aircraft come in, one here, and we had some two coming in from the side over this side. These guys with their assault cannons at the front only managed to take out 3 of the plague bearers, deciding to try and chip away at those to eventually have a crack at that. Our other aircraft over here ended up taking out this guy standing by himself over there. Not much else in the way of firing. Everyone else just moved across the board. We had Dreadnought firing and taking out a standard bearer just hiding around the side there. This Imperial Knight was on the other side of that river, or just on that river, came up onto this ledge here, and actually that assisted in taking out this guy here. The Imperial Knights, there was 5 over that side, and they just thought that probably best to have something over this side, given there's a lot to deep strike for the Chaos forces, just to spread them out, because this side looked under control. We had a drop pod sit down here, spilling out some Marines. We also had one up the back there, dropped down, and came out and tried to fire on this guy here, not taking him out. Not much in the way of casualties. Oh yes, there's the Defiler. So this knight at the front here ended up vaporising the Defiler, and also another one here taking out the spawn. Again, chipping away at the spawn there, obviously mobile cover, waiting for the Chaos equivalent of an Imperial Knight to start going toe to toe with these guys. So it looks pretty good for the Imperial Knights, Sons of Medusa. There's still a couple of drop pods up here ready to come out. 1, 2, third one just there. But Chaos forces, we've got a couple of goodies over here, big powerful units. Maybe they can take out the Imperial Knight. We've got some Terminators down there. Maybe they can take a few Imperial Knights out and even the battle up. Anyway, that's only the first half of turn 2, so second half coming up shortly. Here we are at the end of turn 2. Chaos have had their turn, and there's a lot going on across the board. Over this side we had a deep striking Soul Grinder come down here, and they basically turned on the deep striking Marines that came out of the drop pod, and this worm character came in and began an assault. So really we've got 2 Marines left and the worm character. We had a group of Marines here that were just over that river, came over this side to try and reinforce it. Chaos divided between trying to take out the Imperial Knights and reinforce this side. Over this side we had the plodding Plague Bearers just plod their way across the board, nice and slow, taking in these Storm Talons are just sitting there with their assault cannons, just hoping to chip away at those. We had a Dreadnought in the middle with a las cannon trying to fire upon that Imperial Knight just there, which is damaged. We've also got a couple of other damaged Imperial Knights on the other side, which I'll get to in a minute. Our proxy Chaos Imperial Knight, trudging across the board, undamaged at this stage, ready to unleash some problems. Over here we've got some deep striking units for Chaos again. These are some bloodthirsters essentially. We're using their details for that. Popping down here with a Demon Prince, ready to cause some mayhem behind enemy lines. So it looks pretty strong here for the Sons of Medusa, but they are going to cause some problems. We had some deep striking Terminators take the bridge over here, popping down and firing upon the group of Centurions there, taking out 1. Pretty poor considering there's all those Terminators with their various weapons there. A couple of other deep striking units, Furies and some Plague Bearers on bugs. Okay, over this side we had the Great Unclean One come in and assault this Imperial Knight here, and that almost got taken out. So not quite. Anyway, we had this group of Marines here just trudging behind this little piece of cover just there. We also had the other Chaos Imperial Knight fire upon the Storm Raven up there, and then got followed up by the Helldrake, taking it out. So the Chaos forces trying to regain some air supremacy here. Over here we had Lord Fowl here come up and lose his arm on doing the stop motion part, which is no good. He'll have to take a little break for a while while I reattach that. He just came up behind this unit here, taking position. Also we've got a Herald right next to him, just in as a companion. Over here we've got this tank fired with its las cannons against this Imperial Knight. Also those other 2 Dreadnoughts there, heavily damaging it. So we've got damaged Imperial Knight. This one's damaged as well. We also had the Chaos Spawn charge into this one. They did a little bit of damage, but they ended up losing 2 of their own. So it's just really a play to try and clog up these Imperial Knights. This one at the back here, I think he's untouched at this stage. So they'll need to open up into the Chaos ranks. They can't just let Chaos chip away at these things, because sooner or later these big guys are going to fall. Anyway, that is the end of the second half of turn 2. Turn 3 coming up shortly. Okay, so here we are at the end of turn 3, the first half of turn 3, and the Sons of Medusa have tried to deal with the Chaos filth rising up as best they can. We'll start over this side of the board. We had 2 remaining deep striking Marines which were in combat with the Slug. Couldn't defeat it, so Chaos holding that area just there. Moving over this side of the board, we had this big pile of Plague Bearers, which is not so big anymore. These guys here, the Storm Ravens, not Storm Ravens, Storm Talons I think they're called, just couldn't help but mow them down. They also got some help from a unit of Marines that came down off this bench, this elevated area here, and took out about half, so there's still half remaining. A Dreadnought fire from here and Imperial Knight fire from here took out Dreadnought at the front there. We had this combat over here, which is probably evenly weighted. we had 2 marine casualties and 1 chaos casualty, but they'll just keep duking it out. Over this side we had this unit and a deep striking drop pod come down, and there was the Dreadnought fire as well. All that only took out 1, so they're going to carve up some marines next turn. That was pretty poor from the Sons of Medusa. Over here the Imperial Knight, seeing that everything was under control just up here, turned around and fired upon the Terminators on this bridge up here, taking out 3 just there. Likewise, a couple of units of Marines here turned and faced the deep striking demons at the back, the Furies, taking out 4, and these bugs taking out 3. So that was pretty good there, but it took their attention away from what's happening over this side of the board, which is the point of the deep strike. In this case, we had this unit here, this Imperial Knight, come around the corner here and finish off the Great Unclean One. This Imperial Knight here is really enjoying slaying these Chaos Spawn, just stomping all over them, but probably getting distracted really by taking casualties. We had 2 deep striking drop pods, their marines contents spilled out, fired upon the marines at the back, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 and a Terminator going down. So pretty good move from a deep strike, but now they're prone to other things to come and attack them. So overall, stacks of casualties all around the board. The numbers are about to thin out, so we've got the second half of turn 3 coming up shortly. Here we are at the end of the second half of turn 3, and where do I start? There is lots going on this board at the moment. Let's start over here. We had our Demon Prince of Nurgle with a nasty looking scythe there, group up with these Marines, Chaos Marines, which were just back here. They turned around and assaulted these drop pod units here, and they were first fired upon by these guys here who they were going that way, and they just doubled back to help out. They took out a couple of guys on the corner there, and then these guys assaulted. 3 casualties there on the assault and 2 on the assaulting side, so pretty even. The Sons of Medusa has the numbers, but the Demon Prince is looking pretty nasty up the front there, so we'll see how that pans out. Up this side of the board we had 2 Dreadnaughts assault the Imperial Knight. One of the Dreadnaughts got taken out, but took out the Imperial Knight at the same time. Tank roared up the side here, came here and fired upon this group here, taking out a couple there. So it's looking pretty exposed still, but we'll see how it goes. Both these Furies and these Demons here assaulted this group, and what's that, 1, 2, 3 of the Defenders taken out, and pretty much the whole lot of the Furies taken out. So partially successful attack. Up here we had our Chaos Imperial Knight variant with the Spawn attack this Imperial Knight. The Spawn got taken out, but we've got another Imperial Knight down, so that's 2 out of 5. Looking pretty bleak for the Imperial Knights. Anyway, in the middle here, these guys here, the HQ units are duking it away, 1 casualty from each side. We had a deep striking Soul Grinder back in the corner here, came down defensively behind this bridge here, but probably didn't need to go defensively given the success of Chaos on this turn. Moving over here we had the Typhus and his retinue of Terminators turn around and vaporise this unit of Marines. Also they got assaulted by Demon Prince and these other 2 units as well. We had our Bloodthirster variant here, I know it's a Age of Sigmar type Terrorghast thing, but it's basically equivalent to a Bloodthirster, as I said. basically vaporised the Dreadnought just there. Moving around this side of the board, we had the Helldrake come soaring across the board, came in here and took out a Storm Talon, and we also had another Soul Grinder try and take out the other one, but to no luck. The rest of these other guys, the old Plague Bearers, are just trudging across the board, not doing anything, getting in the way. But yeah, okay. So that's basically it for the Chaos turn. Looking pretty bleak for the Sons of Medusa, but things can change pretty quick. If we get some of these Imperial Knights start to land some big nasty shots, there's still 2 over there that are operational, can turn very quickly. So we've got turn 4 coming up shortly. Here we are at the end of the first half of turn 4, and there's quite a few casualties. We'll start over here. We had the Storm Talon turn round and fire upon the Helldrake and ended up taking it out, cluttering up the battlefield a bit there. This group of Marines supported by the Dreadnought there finally vaporised the Plague Bearers, who ended up doing absolutely nothing this battle apart from soaking up fire, but that is probably what they're good for. We had the Centurions over here come in and support our HQ unit in taking out the last 2 of the Chaos HQ unit, so they ended up getting supported there. Moving over here, we had our Imperial Knight come and take out the Bloodthirster proxy just there. We also had some firing from this unit of Marines and the Thunderfire cannon there, taking out 1 over this side as well. So still a few nasties for Chaos over here. There's still a Soul Grinder that's not hasn't been involved in the battle yet. Anyway, this is an ongoing battle over here. Only 1 casualty from each side, so they'll duke it out. Probably Chaos will lose that eventually. This unit of Marines, one with a las cannon, fired upon the tank just there. Didn't take it out but wounded it, so we'll see what the tank will do in return. Probably just drive straight through them, but we'll wait and see. This Imperial Knight came round, took out the remaining Dreadnought over this side. In the middle, the clash of the Titans, and the Imperial Knight won there. So a couple of good victories there for the Sons of Medusa, given that some of those Imperial Knights are still up and running. They can cause some major damage. Over here we've got a combat. There's a couple of casualties, 3 casualties each side, so that is ongoing. I have to wait and see how that pans out. So overall, could go anyway, but some good casualties inflicted by the Sons of Medusa. Second half of turn 4 coming up shortly. Here we are at the end of the second half of turn 4. Chaos have made some good inroads here. Here we've got this group of Marines, Chaos Marines. They were just here, they moved along here, they couldn't really get into the combat over here. It's still going probably the way of Chaos. We've got 2 casualties for Chaos side here and 3 on the Space Marine side. So the Space Marines are pretty well stuffed there once those guys come in, perhaps. Over this side we had the tank turn around and las cannon at close range, the Imperial Knight taking that out, so that was a big win. We had the Soul Grinder, which was behind that bridge, come out here, reinforce this combat here, and completely wipe out that squad of Marines, so good job. Moving over this side of the board, we had Terminators charging in against the Imperial Knight, and also it got followed up by some close combat just here, taking out that Imperial Knight there. We had the Thunderfire cannon go down with the assault from the Demon Prince, and the Soul Grinder here took out, 4 Marines, so quite a few casualties. We also had the Snail, call it the Snail, basically couldn't go anywhere but offered itself as bait, just there in case it's going to get assaulted by all that next turn. But really couldn't do anything here. So at this stage we're down to one Chaos Imperial Knight, we'll call it, and one Imperial Knight. I reckon whoever's going to survive out of those two will be able to lay waste to whoever remains. So we've got 2 turns remaining. Turn 5 coming up shortly. Here we are at the end of the first half of turn 5, and the fortunes turn against Chaos in this turn. Starting over this side of the board, surprise surprise, these Marines here turn and fired essentially that las cannon to pop open that tank there, finishing that off. This Imperial Knight here was standing in the middle, had a choice to go against that or go this way. Head round this bit of scenery here, sat there and completely vaporised that unit there with the assistance of the Storm Talon, which came basically from over that side of the board, zoomed in this way, and they basically shot that. Also over here the combat continued, and there was 2 Marines that went down and 1 Sons of Medusa, leaving the Demon Prince and pretty much outnumbered there. So that was what I thought was in control of Chaos, turns out to be in charge of the Sons of Medusa. So tables have been turned. Over this side of the board we had this group here, was just down on that corner on this cliff here, scaled that up here, fired in amongst Typhus and his group, took out a couple, but then the Centurions came on board and stormed them, and with those nasty weaponry from the Centurions absolutely carved the Terminators up, leaving only Typhus left, standing there by himself against Centurions and ranged weaponry there, so he's in a bit of strife. Over this side we had the Dreadnought come from that group down there up this way, took out the last Bloodthirster proxy just there, leaving him in close proximity to the other Demon Prince. Over here we've got this group of Marines who are going toe to toe with the Soul Grinder. Soul Grinder's just carving those up, but the Marines are standing firm and soaking up valuable time so that Soul Grinder can't rampage into anything else. Over this side we've got our HQ unit for the Sons of Medusa, finally took out the snail. So that was pretty good. So overall we've got the Sons of Medusa really on the front foot, but probably our key character here is a pretty much untouched Chaos Imperial Titan, ready to carve up pretty much whatever he wants on the board. And we've also got this Soul Grinder over here, so I don't know, it could go either way. Anyway, that is the first half of turn 5, second half coming up shortly. We're getting close to finishing the battle now. We're at the second half of turn 5, and Chaos have carved a fair way into the Sons of Medusa. Let's look at this bit over here. We've had the Soul Grinder clear up that squad of Marines. We've had the Chaos Imperial Knight along with Typhus take out the Centurions in one foul swoop. This combat over here between the Demon Prince and the Dreadnought. Dreadnought wins. Moving over this side, we really couldn't get the last remaining drone into combat, but the Soul Grinder there just ended up taking out one Marine there. Over here, ongoing battle with the Demon Prince. There's only one casualty for the Marines. Could go any way. We've got a few big players still left on the board, so anything could happen in turn 6. So good turn for Chaos, but can they keep it going? Turn 6 coming up shortly. Here we are, turn 6, last roll of the dice for the Sons of Medusa. Over this side of the board we had this unit consolidate and fire over this way, and ended up taking out one drone just there. You're in a bad position to be assaulted by the Soul Grinder. Over this side, a Herculean effort by the Demon Prince there fended off all those Marines. There was 2 drop pods full of Marines, fended them off. He's the last one remaining there, ended up taking out 3 Marines. So, good job. Over this side, we had a full squad over here, fire upon Typhus, and he managed to survive, so that was pretty ineffective there. And then the Soul Grinder over here was confronted by fire from Storm Talon, Imperial Knight, and followed up here with some melee combat, finally taking it out. So overall, not too bad for the Marines, the Sons of Medusa, but probably could have done better. Can Chaos pull out a victory? Only half a turn to go, we'll have to see what happens. Well, there we have it. That's the end of turn 6 and the end of our battle, and we have the Sons of Medusa coming out victorious. For Chaos, in the final turn we had Typhus and the large Chaos Imperial Knight charge this group of Marines, 3 surviving. So they took out a whole heap there. Likewise over here we had the Soul Grinder do essentially the same to this group over here, not quite taking them out. Our Demon Prince up here couldn't make it into combat with the Imperial Knight, not that you'd really want to at this stage of the game, but it was all over. We've got the remnants of our Sons of Medusa left over, and Chaos has been defeated. So at this stage I'm going to do the narrative section, whereby our Chaos forces are going to disappear off the board, and our Sons of Medusa HQ unit over here are going to say, you know, they've disappeared, let's go regroup off at a nearby township, and then that's probably going to be the end of the Sons of Medusa for this season. They're just going to regroup in that city, and then I'm going to move on to a later phase of the season. I can't really give out any spoilers just yet, but it'll move on to something else shortly. So there we have it. That is the end of the battle. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.